righty, welcome everybody to this week's episode of KC Grid Talk. As always, my name is Caleb Vieska. It's been a week, 2 weeks since I've been on for one of these for myself and Alex. But last week, our very own Emery had a great show with Trey Shannon from Pit Fit. Fellas, it's a pleasure to be back this week. And honestly, it's been, I think, for me and Alex, too long to be away from KC Grid Talk. Firstly, Alex, how are you feeling this week? Thanks for getting me sick 2 weeks ago in Texas. But I'm in good spirits. How are you feeling?
Better than I was last week for sure. For those of you who don't know, at TSRS I got the flu, and then I think I gave it to Caleb and Riley, so I'm so
Correct.
sorry. But yeah, I've been bedridden for a while. Starting to get better. My voice feels better. I'm not. If I cough up a storm tonight, I'm sorry in advance, but I'm trying to be good. I just took my cough medicine, so I should be all right. But yeah, like Caleb said, I actually no, I've missed a show before, but it has been a while since we've never done a solo show. So Emery, first of
Yeah.
all, round of
Hey,
applause
round
to
of
Emery.
applause, Emery. Round of
He
applause,
killed
Emery
that.
Lida.
He killed that because I felt terrible, but oh my god, I think Caleb and I are both in the same boat. And yeah, we never want to miss a show, so hopefully it's the last time we have to happen.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Emery, firstly, uh, welcome back. It's been 2 weeks. You've been out in California. How have these 2 weeks kind of been for you? And talk a little bit about your show last week as well with Trey for those of the people that I guess missed it. And that's a good watch. I do recommend for those of you who didn't to go have a watch as well later on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, missed you guys. Wasn't quite the same without you.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm kind of thankful I wasn't a part of TSRS crew because I don't like having a fever of 104 or being bedridden for basically a week. So kind of dodged a bullet there. And I also got to go to the beautiful K1 circuit, which was really nice these past 2 weeks. I've not been out to California in quite some time. So it's kind of a little bit of a different couple weekends for me. And, it's first off going to Tri-C, phenomenal series, regionally, kind of a local / regional hybrid in California. They had 180 entries the weekend that we were there, which I believe shattered a record for them at that time with strong fields in KA and a couple of the 206 fields as well. So it was nice to be out there for Tri-C. It was nice to go back and be there for KC's first ever Pro Kart Challenge broadcast at K1, which again, another race, another series that was a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, produced some great racing. Was great on our end to kind of get the new setup built out in the K1 building that's at the circuit. So that was a lot of fun to do and kind of get everything sorted for future broadcasts and future opportunities there. And then on the other end as well, kind of on a personal end, being able to just be out in Cali, kind of spend some more time with the KC crew. We had a great crew this past weekend with six cameramen and women that did an awesome job. We had Justin Prince and Nate Dean on the mic, and then we also had, of course, Sander directing, Carson producing, and I was there as well. So a lot of good times in California. Been busy, kind of going back and forth with school and everything, but that was fun. And then finally, the solo show last week with Trey, a lot of fun. Again, as Caleb said, if you haven't checked it, I highly recommend checking that out. No, it's not just because it's my own show and I'm partial to it, but also I think it gives some great insight into kind of motorsports fitness, the importance of fitness and karting, and a lot of Trey's backstory too, because beyond the pit fit role, I mean, he's had a lot of kind of interesting, unique stories over his time in karting, whether it be his 24-hour success or working with Micron and AIM to most recently working with a whole lot of drivers like myself through Pit Fit, Trey Shannon Fitness, and Podium Performance Fitness. So a lot of cool things going on, a lot of fun, but I'm glad to be back with you guys.
Yeah, we're happy to be back. And you had that show with Trey, which kind of missed, or we missed, kind of talking about TSRS and a little bit of the Cali Pro Kart Challenge and Tri-C as well. So we're going to take advantage of the first half of our show to do this, and we're going to have Paul and April as well for the second half of our show tonight. So we're getting ready to get started, but we're going to go into it. Firstly, TSRS, a very cold weekend, which was very windy. Very cold and very, very rainy. I think from the Friday, Alex, we weren't expecting that. We kind of saw some rain on the radar, but then seeing how the kind of weekend went, which was rain racing from start to finish while we were live, was not so fun. But it definitely, I think, mixed up the field a whole lot, which was one of the interesting things. Alex, firstly, thoughts on TSRS weekend, and kind of what you saw from it? Who surprised you the most? What you thought about both kind of KA a little bit in 206 as well?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to the TSRS workers and shout out to our camera crew, especially who were out there in the miserable weather, because it was rough out there. It was cold, it was windy. It got colder as the day got on. Um, I wasn't there on the Sunday, obviously, with the flu, but on the Saturday, which was a rough day, but it was one of those things where when we were announcing it, Caleb, we talked about it from the morning,
Yeah.
where it had everything, right? Because the Friday was not so wet. The Saturday started out dry, but it was cold, and then it got colder, windier, and then it started to rain. So it really threw a wrench in things. It made it tough, not only on the drivers, but on the teams and the mechanics to go out there and actually figure it out. Um, and like you said, it mixed up the field. Usually, we call the rain kind of the great equalizer. In certain cases, it actually is just one of the situations where you just got to keep it on the racetrack. Um, I think in the shifter pre-final, or what? No, it was the first heat race of the entire weekend for the shifter guys. Where what was it? Noah Starks was the only guy to go on slicks,
Yeah.
and he wiped the field, and everyone else at the pit because their tires were chunking up because it was drying up. The following session, people were throwing on slicks, and then it started to rain again. So that's like the toughest part of dealing with the inclement weather and just constant changing
And then
in the
206
weather.
qualifying as well, where we had the 101%
Yeah,
rule kind of go into play,
that
was one of the, I think, biggest things that turned the field on its head and even benefited some of the other guys that were actually
yeah
in that second group to start further up the
yeah.
field.
Some guys, it worked out in their favor, right? If you're the likes of Reagan Seville and a couple other guys who were gonna have to start in the mid 20s, they actually got to start at least in the teens. Some guys like Rocco Rusic, for example, or Casey's very own, he actually qualified pretty good, and then with the 101% rule, it actually hurt him. So again, it's just it's racing, right? It just happens. Sometimes you're on the good end, sometimes you're on the bad end of it all. And then the way the heats work in TSRS, where it's wherever you qualify, it's where you start all three of your heat races. Um, if you weren't on the good end of it, well, it was probably a rough couple heat races for you. And if you're on the better end of it, hopefully you stayed out of trouble. And that was the name of the game, I think, for every class, especially in that main events. The main events on Sunday were rough for a couple of drivers. I think I saw chains being lost, contact, people in the weeds, right? A lot of I think mechanics probably got a pretty good use out of the hose at TSRS cleaning the go-karts after the races. But it was an interesting, I'd say, first round for TSRS.
Yeah, I think interesting to use like very, very small words. Emery, did you have the chance to watch any? I know you were working all weekend, but if you did, I guess what did you kind of see from California about our weekend in Texas?
Yeah, it was tough to watch a ton of it just because of the time offset that we had kind of made it difficult to sort of find breaks and find gaps. And then also, I mean, it's kind of a double setup day for us. So we were kind of
Yeah.
working throughout the day, Friday, Saturday, and then obviously we had our own broadcast to put on Sunday. But I did get a chance to watch some of the KA heat racing. I watched a few of the heats in general, especially at the end of the day on Saturday. And yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it was really cold. I felt like the qualifying situation, I kind of kept in. It was kind of unique to see the 101% rule used in 206. I kind of got a chance to see bits and pieces of the heat racing, and I felt like, I mean, kudos to all the drivers out there because from experience, driving in cold rain and increasingly cooler
It sucks.
weather is awful, especially. I mean, let's face it, Caleb. I mean, drivers from Texas, from TSRS, probably not used to driving that much in
Definitely not.
35 to 40-degree weather in the rain. So massive amounts of respect to those guys. I thought it was interesting in the heat races and KA specifically, how kind of each of them took on their own unique sort of profile. I mean, we saw Hernandez had a really good couple heats, and then also as well, I thought I was really impressed by guys like Abraham Dean early on in heat number one to kind of go through the field or get himself to the lead early on and then hang on to track position. And then also with Jake French as well. I mean, really solid all the way up until the unfortunate inning of his main event. So I think in general, it was interesting to see the field dynamic. Certainly nice fields again for TSRS, kind of continuing their super regional run, so to speak. And yeah, I felt like for what the conditions were, it was really impressive to see the racecraft on display. And I feel like, yes, there's attrition, yes, there's some sloppiness, but those guys are warriors, man. Because if there's any one thing that I do not like doing in racing, I love racing in the rain. I hate racing in the cold rain.
Agreed. And apparently, some of the Masters drivers as well that were supposed to show up at TSRS stayed home because they didn't want to race in the cold weather either. So for those of you guys who were supposed to come, it was a big class, 18 drivers, and I think a couple stayed home. And for the kid karts to be out there at only 4 years old, still driving, shout out to our kid kart drivers. Shout out to all the young drivers as well who are out there this weekend. And for the Masters guys, man, it was supposed to be a really good weekend for them. It was still a really good weekend of racing, honestly, with a couple of new faces and a couple of returning drivers as well. And they've really, really had a good weekend of racing as well. But, still kind of mad at some of those people who stayed home because of the rain. Understandable, though, for those people who were sick and, couldn't make it out. Obviously going to get worse. Well wishes to you guys. But for all the young drivers, I mean, they really did a really good job all weekend to stay on it. And I know some kids were frozen hands, kind of white knuckled at the end of it. Hands were purple. We were seeing a whole lot of different things. But as well, talking about the KA side of things, one of the biggest surprises for us, I think, throughout the weekend was not a surprise, but Peyton Phillips obviously changed teams over to Arcane Motorsports. Boys, we talked about how the speed, we were expecting to have. Friday, he was the driver to beat all day long. Everybody had the stopwatches on Peyton Phillips. And then you kind of move into it as well later on.
Rough.
And a rough weekend, but a really good main event for Peyton. And I think that's one of the things when I think about the KA field this weekend, I think about that. We also had a couple of other big things. Aiden Rudolph, surprise entry at the Saturday, qualifies on the pole. And has, a really good showing throughout the weekend, finishes third, I think, on the podium. Vasquez as well, a rough going throughout the heat races. Then in the end, clawed it back and then got it done in the main event. So a couple of drivers, I think, that did a pretty good job to turn it around. And like we were talking about, right, you had the difference in the weekend where the weather wasn't helpful for anybody. But as it went on, it took them a while to get there, but they finally did and had a pretty good showing for a couple of those drivers as well. Trying to think here, 206, the Coyote boys were strong as well. Good to see James and Christopher joining us over in Texas this year. And they
James was strong in KA too.
Yeah. And getting
once
to
you
that,
got it going, yeah.
Yeah, once a rough start to the weekend for them, and then kind of got through it as well. And then in the end, was up there fighting inside of the top 5 as the weekend continued to go on. So it was interesting weekend for the Coyote guys figuring it out. And that from what I was talking to John Seglin about a little bit, that chassis is almost the exact same thing as their 4-cycle chassis, and to see it work in K was super interesting as well. Talking to them a whole lot throughout the weekend, and then a couple of other guys. Talk about 206 here. Reagan Seville was able to get it done throughout that main event. And again, he had a rough going throughout some of the heat races, got it done in the main event. James' chain slipped as well. You talk about Christopher had issues, and then issues for a reigning champ as well. Bryce Frank, who found himself further back in the field with again, just rain weather, and he couldn't just get himself up there. I know Kelvin as well was struggling, and a couple of the other big names that we're used to seeing throughout the 206 side of things. So it was a very good weekend, and I'm excited to see what we have in Amarillo. It rained last year in Amarillo. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I think I've had my fix for rain racing, boys, to start 2025. I'm done. I don't want to see another rain race for the rest of the year, because this weekend seemed very, very, very long, or 2 weekends ago, I should say.
Last time I checked the radar, there's a chance of rain this weekend.
I hope not. I hope not.
It does not look amazing. I will say that.
And then we're also going to Daytona next weekend.
Yeah.
The rule for Daytona is it rains every 3 years there. Pick any weekend you want, every 3 years.
Always the 500, apparently. Always the weekend of the 500, we have some rain.
Yeah.
So
every year that I go to the Rolex 24, it rains.
Yeah.
So
no.
Get ready to learn rain, Caleb.
But Daytona
I'm tired of it, honestly.
Daytona rain will be a lot warmer than Texas rain, apparently. And this weekend, I think the weather's supposed to be in the 60s. So
yeah,
there's no way it's as bad as TSRS. No shot.
Don't say that.
Hey, it can't get any worse.
Oh, there. You've only gone and said it now.
Goodness gracious.
It
It
as long as it doesn't rain, I'm okay with it being cold because it is so hot in Florida. I'm okay with it being cold. But I saw the radar. Doesn't look amazing. This is a classic Charlotte weekend. I've actually never been to Charlotte Motor Speedway when it's rained.
it
Have
rained
you?
last year for us, right? At the Spring Nationals, Emery?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Friday
I wasn't
was
there. I wasn't there, so I actually don't know how it races.
setup
yeah.
day on Friday at CKNA last year was horrid. Again, do not like cold rain at all. I can do anything else. I can do the cold. I can do rain. I can do
It's
snow. Cold rain is a no
it's
go.
so bad on the hands as a driver.
It's awful.
It is rough.
Yeah,
All
but
right. We talked about TSRS there a little bit. Emery, you have all the scoop on the Cali Pro Kart Challenge from this weekend at K1 Speed. Last little bit of our first opening segment here.
First of all, I want to hear because we didn't get to go, Caleb. What's it
Mhm.
like over there? What's because it looks unbelievable on the
it's
broadcast.
Yes.
the scene's incredible. Like I think if you look at the trackside, the mountains, I would say it's second to only Utah when it comes to like backdrop of the places that I've been, of the places that we've been. The track itself, very flowing, very fast, fun to drive. We got a chance to do a rental session at the end of the weekend, which
Hey,
granted
I
was
saw
only
you were
half the track.
fastest. I saw you were fastest.
Hey,
Hey.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but like,
Hey,
it happens.
There you go.
But no, the track by all accounts seemed a lot of fun to drive, and then the facilities. I mean, there's definitely still some work to be done between the paddock and the building itself. But I think when it all comes together, when the facility comes together, and kind of over the course of the next few months, it's going to be one of the premier destinations in American karting. And I mean, from day one there, Tri-C week, I was seriously impressed by how K1 circuit has kind of evolved from what we saw, I guess, the last time Pro Kart Challenge went there, and kind of the pictures and everything from August to what it is now. I mean, they have a phenomenal rental setup. They have over 100 entries to the rental league, which is insane.
That's crazy.
And I mean, the vibes are there. The facility, like I mentioned, they have the garages already built out, which are really nice. And last but not least, I mean, the playlist that they play at night, each night, pretty legit. Whoever's on aux at K1 Circuit is doing a nice job. But no, in terms of the facility, I was seriously impressed by everything over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, honestly, I think watching it from TV is, I think, a very, very beautiful facility, and the entire K1 group has done a really good job. I know they're not done building kind of the last little facilities there, but the racing looked incredible. You saw Joe Turney on social media as well say that the FIA World Championship should go there. I agree. The racing looked pretty good. Emery on the Saturday, though, on KA side of things out there, I have no idea what was going on, but it looked like it was just like a demolition derby out there on this Saturday whenever it came down to KA senior racing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to have this sort of discussion because ultimately, look, there's a lot of talented drivers out in California. They put on a really good show throughout the weekend. If you look as a whole, I don't want this to just be a KA centric show. I know Jorge mentioned a lot of KA talk when you have
Bro,
206.
don't even listen to Jorge, bro. Don't even listen to Jorge. He's just out here.
There were no 206s in Pro Kart Challenge, so I'm not going to go down that route. However, the other classes I felt like had some phenomenal racing. Seeing the mini shifters and the junior shifters for the first time in action was a lot of fun. We saw Troy Ferguson getting into it with some of the junior shifters.
Troy was flying.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so fun to watch that and seeing kind of him battling, and then the battles we saw kind of through the field with Dupuis going at it, John McClellan going at it. Like that was some phenomenal racing that we saw. And then in general, some of the other categories, we saw a classic between Billy Musgrave and Kyle Wick on Saturday in the shifter main. So there was a lot of good racing. The KA senior final on Saturday, we always talk about how there's kind of a blend between what makes a good race versus an entertaining race. Saturday KA senior was an entertaining race, not necessarily a good race, because there were multiple wrecks. I believe we lost out of the initial lead pack 5 out of the 6 carts that were in it over the course of of the main event. Keegan Kaminsky, kudos to him, kept his head kind of on a swivel, was able to get away with all the carnage. Came away really impressed by his teammate Johnny Stamps, who was a star of the Tri-C weekend and then had a really solid showing as well. But on the flip side, I mean, there was a lot of unnecessary contact. Questionable decisions being made by guys in the lead pack. I think the lap traffic that came into play because of wrecks that happened throughout the field, first off, indicative of the midfield carnage. Second off, borderline unacceptable awareness in a couple of cases. That was not good to watch. So I think the KA senior final on Saturday was kind of a black mark on the weekend as a whole, but I don't want that to take away from the rest of the racing. And we got treated to a really fun KA race on Sunday. So it kind of evens out, KA giveth, KA taketh away. On Saturday, not the cleanest, not the finest showing for a lot of the KA senior drivers. Sunday, though, was a good show. And I think as a whole, the track put on some phenomenal racing.
Agreed.
I'm excited. I think, to me, actually, the highlight, as much as, Shifter as a whole was fun to watch, but seeing Musgrave and Kyle Wick go after it only just made me rub my hands for Pro Tour, because you got to throw in another 10 to 12 drivers that can go out there and win come round 1 of the Pro Tour. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Well, also Caleb, because we missed out on Musgrave at TSRS, so it was cool to actually watch him race.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. We were supposed to see Aiden Rudolph versus Billy Musgrave at TSRS, and then rightfully so, Billy kept it close over in California. Did what he had to do. So, missed him over in Texas, but now we get to see, I guess, both of those shifter fields combined, plus who knows how many guys that are going to join us for the start of the Pro Tour as well. Emery, you were saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, when was the last time you guys saw a shifter race where we got 7 passes for the lead? And not just a shifter race, but a regional, look, objectively, shifter racing on the regional level is very much hit or miss. We see it, whether it be TSRS, oftentimes you'll get 1 or 2 of the big heavy hitters coming into town.
Correct.
Or even Pro Kart. Like, you see the GFC boys here and there. You'll see Billy come out and run some Pro Kart. But it's never been to have that level of competitiveness at a regional race.
Was there that many passes for the lead? What was it? Rock the Rio 2023?
It was Wick versus Formal. And I don't think so. It was a close race. There was a lot of white lining, a lot of close battles, but I don't think we got up to 7 there.
Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't realize it was 7.
Yeah, it is 7. It was phenomenal racing. Like, that
track is such a good shifter track. Oh my god, it's such a good track. But I every series needs to go out there. I'm saying it right now, also because I want to go out there. So let's make it happen.
The flight's a little bit rough, but everything else about it, phenomenal.
Well, you're on the other side of the country, my guy.
Yeah, it's not so bad for Caleb.
It's only 3 hours, pal.
It's going to be worse for Alex, though. So.
Oh yeah. That is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Alrighty, fellas. Anything else to add here? I wasn't there, but from the outside looking in, racing looked spectacular. The track looked spectacular. Anything else to add to our start of the grassroots in 2025? I
want to give a shout out to a few other guys that kind of impressed me. We mentioned Troy Ferguson, obviously on the mini shifter side. Really good racing for him. Looked like the starts could use a little bit of work, but once he got going, his pace in the mini was absurd. Eric Doan as well completely walked the field twice in a row on the junior shifter side of things. So it was really cool to see kind of his pace. He's a guy that I would expect a lot of noise on throughout the season on the junior categories. Truly Adams running the new FC 125 category, kind of a more affordable shifter option, was really impressive as well. Had some very, very entertaining moments over the course of the weekend, kind of driving that cart all the way on the ragged edge. And then you go down the line. There was a very good battle throughout the weekend in micro. We saw a couple good finishes in mini as well. David Ramirez had a really nice battle to win and took away a win over the course of the weekend. So a lot of fun racing going on at a Pro Kart Challenge. And again, the track's good. The facilities are good. The area is nice. Was nice to get in and out again. I think that as a whole, successful couple trips to California. Even if the flights were a little bit long, and the school last week was a little bit rough off the jet lag. Overall, very good experience.
All righty. Good. And I guess that's it for our KC Grassroots segment. Jorge actually just texted me saying, hurry up, I'm falling asleep. Enough about two-cycle talk or whatever. We go straight in at 2:06 right after this other side of this commercial break. You see, Jorge's already tripping me up here, but commercial break. When we're back, Paul and April Rice join the show, and then at the end we talk all about the CKNA Spring Nationals that are live this week. So we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today. DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the 2-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
Join us for the biggest kart racing convention of the year, the 39th OVKA Kart Racing Trade Show and Swap Meet, Saturday, February 1st, Roberts Center, Wilmington, Ohio. Whether you're into sprint karting, dirt and oval racing, road racing, unlimiteds, or vintage karting, there are deals here for you. Shop our 60,000 square foot show floor, filled with the karts, parts, and supplies you need. Network with kart racers of all disciplines from across the country. Get insights from experts at our performance seminars. Visit our Intro to Kart Racing open house to get started in racing. Visit OVKA.com. Vendor registration is now open. OVKA.com.
Alrighty, welcome back to KC Grid Talk. I think it's episode number 44, and I accidentally wrote 43 in the title, so I'll have to go back and fix that after the show. But joining us tonight, Alex, you have a lot of experience with Paul and April. Emery as well. You're local to North Carolina. See them very often at Trackhouse Motorplex. For myself, met them recently. Great people, great family, and they're doing some great stuff as well in the world of karting. Firstly, welcome to the show, Paul and April Rice.
Hey, guys.
So happy to have you guys. So happy to have you guys. We saw you guys in Texas. I know it definitely wasn't – it was probably just as cold as North Carolina that weekend, but it was great to see you guys out here. What did you guys think of the weekend, first of all, and how are you guys doing tonight?
It was as cold as North Carolina, and North Carolina canceled their race because it was so cold, but Texas weathered through the storm, I guess. They didn't seem to care that it was cold. They just went ahead and raced anyways. You guys were in the booth a little bit. So
thank God we were in
some
the
of your
garage.
cameramen, though, we felt sorry for out there standing on the roof.
Thank God we were in the garage. Thank you to Alan Rudolph. What a beautiful facility. First off, right? The weather wasn't the greatest, but man, that's a lot of cool stuff to do at that racetrack. Especially, I assume in the summertime, that place is probably ripping in the summertime.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Yeah, during the summer we have a lot of races, club races as well throughout the year, and it's great year round. To get into it, obviously you guys are close with Alex. I know Emery knows a little bit about your guys' story as well, but you know I'm not as familiar. How'd you guys kind of get into motorsports? How did you guys get started? How'd you guys meet as well?
Well, Paul has been go-kart racing his entire life. His mom and dad are very into racing, so that's how his parents met. So he started at what, 8?
7 or 8.
7 or 8.
I think we lied about the first one, to be honest with you.
Probably. I think they had him a couple fake birth certificates.
6.
And then Paul and I met through Uncle Larry Weiser.
Yep,
Paul was in Ohio at a go-kart race.
Through a go-kart.
Yeah.
Friend of the family, so we met that way.
Yeah. And then we later on, I guess many years later, met young Alexander.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I started when I was very young. I ran a bunch of go-kart stuff when I was younger, Barnesville, the north-south, all that stuff when we were kids. I ran for Bandit Go-Karts, spent some time with them, and then ended up working for them later in my life, and then left Bandit Karts, moved to North Carolina, and started working on NASCAR race cars. And April and I opened the business back up in 2015.
Yep.
And you guys kind of talked about it a little bit. What were you guys doing in NASCAR as well? Or what were you guys? What was y'all's involvement through that?
I used to work for Joe Gibbs Racing, and I worked in the carbon shop. I used to make carbon fiber parts for the cars.
She ran the carbon shop. Don't let her fool you.
And then we just got big enough here, fortunately, I guess, selling enough go-karts that I quit and do the go-kart stuff full time. I guess I still sometimes sneak back into the carbon shop and make parts every once in a while.
But you guys are at the world headquarters here. Yep. So this is Kannapolis, North Carolina, hometown right here. This is where we This is where we do everything. Home of Dale Earnhardt by all means. I moved here, worked for Dale Earnhardt Sr. Unfortunate accident happened. Then the Harvick thing went, as most people know, Kevin Harvick went on for a great career. So it was pretty cool to be there, work with those people, and do the whole NASCAR thing, change tires. Won a pit crew championship in 2002 or 3, I think. So it was really cool. It's a fun ride, but the go-kart stuff is so much better too. It's definitely a lot less traveling.
The people are a lot nicer.
So when did you guys decide to make that, that first chassis, or what kind of went into the decision of start chassis manufacturing?
Can we tell them the truth? Do you want the truth? Because we might get some people in trouble.
Whatever you guys would like to share.
Well, a very good friend of ours had a very prestigious race team, ordered a go-kart from a company, and we got it on our table
from there.
And we the guy's like, can we build a couple? And I'm like, sure. They had the technology to do everything, so we built a couple, and then a couple's turned into 747 of them now.
There you go.
Is that what we're at now? 747?
Amazing. Been amazing, yeah. So since 2015, we've been rocking and rolling. And you see, I mean, we're the smallest shop out there. I mean, most people's trailers are bigger than our shop, So
Alex has seen the actual size of the shop.
Alex has been to the house. He knows the world headquarters. So
he used to have his own bedroom here.
But it's
I did.
You guys know, because all three of you know us. It's not the size of the shop. It's what her and I do at the racetrack, and how we love being a part of the sport, and how we love the people that we're around. We're around these people all the time. So the better you can make things, the better life is.
For sure.
I was around when you guys kind of were still building the shop. Like it was always a shop when I met you guys, but it's got bigger. What's the idea behind?
It hasn't gotten bigger.
No.
It's more spacious. It's more spacious. More spacious. What's the idea behind just doing the shop in the back of your guys' house versus going to a shop, for example, and kind of expanding?
Well, we used to rent a shop.
Yeah.
When we first started. Actually, that's where I started with carbon. Actually, was in the front there.
We rented Bobby Allison's old race team shop. The Miller Genuine Draft, still all the brothers.
Yeah.
Big company, but we had the fab shop back there, and the rent was cheap. It was $400 a month, so you couldn't really beat it.
No.
But now that that was a long time ago, and things have changed, so we just decided to be rent free. Our parents helped us out, and we built a shop in the backyard.
It's kind of nice to walk to work too. I'm not going to complain. No traffic.
But it's the shop is it's paid for. We didn't start a company with a lot of money. We didn't start a company with any money. So you guys know it's impossible to make money in racing. And
when Alex was with us, I think we still both worked full time.
Yeah, you guys did.
So we haven't started a lot of money, and we're not rich, and we're not claiming to be rich. So
No,
we're rich with what we've got. So it's been really good to us.
Talk to us about the growth. I mean, since 2015 to now, this team has grown tremendously, even from when I was a part of it. I mean, what's the last couple of years been like for you guys?
busy, very busy, but in a good way.
A lot of miles, a lot of traveling.
Yeah, a lot of traveling. Like obviously we were in Texas, and then back to GoPro, and now to Charlotte, and then we go to Kershaw to South Carolina. After that, I think we're back to Florida, or no, back to Trackhouse again, and then I think to Florida. But just a lot of traveling, trying to stay interacting with the customers, be present, be there to
But
help everybody.
the growth in itself, I mean, to be honest with you, we never imagined this. We didn't think we were going to build 20 go-karts. We didn't think we would have a chance to be amongst a Margay or other brands of go-karts like OTK and Coyote. I mean, these are companies when I was growing up were humongous companies.
They've all been around a lot longer than we have.
They've got 4, 5, 6 extra zeros in their bank accounts, and they were the players when I was 8 and 10 and 12.
Yeah.
I think I rode a Trick when I was younger. I know I rode a Coyote when I was 8. Maybe shouldn't have, but it's been amazing growth of people, but the sport has really grown a lot too. The sport has gotten a lot bigger, I think, with this package a little bit.
Right. We got over 400 entries, I think, coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
This week it's crazy. I mean, the Grands, 500 entries. I mean, they had races like that in the 80s. They didn't have the races like that in the 90s when I was growing up. I mean, they had half of that maybe, but it's crazy now.
What do you guys think of that? I mean, do you think that amount of entries for a grassroots style race is good? And are you happy to see kind of the growth of 206?
Well, we're happy because we have 71.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
There are 71 MGM entries
We
out of
have
that 400.
we have 49 go-kart drivers going.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
49 amazing kids,
drivers.
adults, amazing people. So I think it's getting about tapped out to the size. I'm sure we could get bigger, but it's huge. It's already big. I mean, we there's only so much time in the day, so.
Right, we run out of daylight. Obviously, we have to bring lights in.
But to be honest with you, Alexander, the growth has just been crazy, and hopefully it never stops.
Yeah.
Because how many were in your class in juniors when you raced at Grands at Newcastle? 30 some maybe?
It was
And
in
it
the
was a
high
huge
30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last senior race with you guys, I think it hit 80, and
wow.
I thought that was as much as we were gonna get because.
Yeah.
That's great.
But
That's great.
how do you guys manage that? I mean, because I can't think of many teams that have more entries than what you guys going on this weekend.
Well, we have Hayden Jones actually coming in to help us do some data.
Yep.
You know that name, Alex.
Yeah.
I think all you know that name,
Well,
right?
I think that's Alex's one rematch he wanted from juniors, right?
Yeah, because that was the one kid that beat me in junior, and
And track,
he
GoPro and Trackhouse.
he never raced 206 again, and I
No,
wanted.
it was our one loss, wasn't he? And then
Yeah,
he never came back
yeah.
for us to redeem ourselves.
Yeah, one and done.
But Hayden's coming to do some data, which will be pretty helpful,
But
and then
we've
we've got
we've got
a good team around us.
we have a decent amount of people in place. I mean, everybody kind of knows that we don't have everything at our fingertips like some people do. So everybody kind of pitches in, and it makes it a lot easier on April and I. We have friends coming from Bermuda just to come hang out with us, just to make sure that that we're okay.
Yeah.
We have a couple friends here locally that are going to come to the racetrack just to help out, make sure that we're okay. So
We got Dustin Dietrich here tonight doing
we
our IT
have an
work.
IT guy here tonight because they worry about us not messing up, and that's amazing to have people like that around. I mean, the three of you sat with us here to make sure we had the sound checked right before we got on. So it's cool. It's really cool.
When you guys back at your house, you have the shop. You're building go-karts. You're not obviously everybody has to build go-karts and develop karts, but what is that development like? I mean, is it driver feedback? Is it just what you guys kind of see? I know obviously Paul. I mean, you have experience driving. What's the behind the scenes of the development look like for you guys?
We do test, obviously.
Mhm.
We just kind of try to do it under the radar a little.
We do a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of unsuccessful trips, but in the same sense, I know 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we looked at a certain go-kart that everybody looked at, and then we just kind of took our own idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I take really good pride, and I know April does too, that we are still our own go-kart. I mean, everybody has copied an OTK go-kart, and that's the go-kart everybody's riding. Our go-kart's nothing like that. And I take pride in that because it's easy to take somebody else's work and make it better. But if you take your own work and make it better, it really just means something to the people around you, and it means something to her and I, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. I think looking through you guys' story over the course of the last 10 years, I mean, the growth is phenomenal, right? Like, I mean, you guys have sold over 750 go-karts, or have over 750 go-karts in circulation. You have multiple CKNA grand champions, it feels like almost every year, consistently running in the top 5 at just about any different series you go to. I mean, what do you think has been the biggest sort of factor in you guys growing year over year beyond, I guess, what the 206 field grows? Because I mean, we're at a point now where you can make the very solid argument that MGM has kind of established itself as the premier, if not one of the 2 or 3 premier brands in 4-cycle racing in the U.S.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing to even be thought of in that
Right.
in that speech. I mean, like I said, there's amazing companies when we were growing up. I think it's the people. I think that we've taken good people and made them better, and I think we've taken beginners and made them great. Like Alexander didn't know anything.
Put it that
Nah,
way.
he still doesn't. He still doesn't.
Anything about go-karts. I mean, and he was an indoor racer, and in a year and a half, we were winning Grand Nationals. So, those stories are all over with our people in Maryland and our girls and our young kids and our adults that are just starting late. It seems like our go-karts got a big window, and it's a program that seems to work for everybody, because when we try to sell a go-kart, like the first thing we tell everybody is like, look, this is a different team. We're trying to do this together. So if you see somebody in Ohio that has your go-kart, introduce yourself and tell them, hey, we're on a MGM and we're struggling here. And it's just, we get it together.
Everybody literally does help everybody.
Trust the process.
Yeah. And that is a huge factor in our growth for sure.
I can attest to that, because I know when I was with you guys, I couldn't believe when I was racing with you guys, it wasn't even as big of a team as it is now. And it still seems like it's a small group that you guys kind of operate around. And it always comes back to you two. I mean, it's like the heart and soul of the team. And whenever somebody's got an issue, you guys spread yourself. I don't want to say thin, because you make it work, but I don't know how you guys make the time, because you got 49 this weekend, and it's basically going to come down to you guys. I mean, obviously the mechanics, but you two are constantly running around making sure everybody is up to speed. Whether they're under the tent or doing their own thing, that's something that I can always say. I remember I was at the Trackhouse club race 2 years ago, actually. And
Right.
I know I was racing not under you guys, but I was on an MGM. And then, Paul, you actually came over and basically overhauled the whole go-kart and made sure that I was actually up to speed. And that's just something that you guys have always been so good at doing.
Yeah, I try to make my way to the grid multiple times a day, trying to,
I mean,
we try to be a little bit everywhere for sure to try to.
I mean, it's love for the game.
Yeah.
It's bottom line. I mean, we're all here for love for the game. Everybody that's watching is for love for the game.
And our drivers being successful makes us successful.
For sure.
So, the more we can help and the faster and the better everybody else is, that makes us better as a company, so.
And the kids that we have that are successful, the Owen Lloyd, the Dylan.
Amundsen.
Thank you. the Caleb, these aren't people that we went out and sought after. These are people that are our friends. Owen's dad, we talk to him every day.
I talk to Christine. I think
Caleb Gaffaro, I work for Chuck all the time. So it's not like these people are people that we are just go-kart racers. These are people that we established relationships.
Elmer's flying in tomorrow to come help
our
us
little
early.
our little Mo, his dad is one of our best friends too.
You
So
remember Mo, Alex?
Yeah.
You two ended up in the fence together at once.
And it's relationships. And we're lucky to have the relationships with the people. So it just happens to be that they're really good people and really good drivers.
Yeah. And I think, having been around, I guess, the Mooresville scene for years now, I would say you guys have a really kind of tight-knit sort of community when it comes to what, I guess, inner drivers. And I think that I mean, it's helped you guys out. I remember when I was doing the banquet last month, I talked to Sakina, and he kind of mentioned that. And it's one of the things I find most impressive. I guess, how much pride do you take in kind of being able to build sort of the relationship, not just that you guys have with the drivers, but also the drivers' relationships with their own drivers, and kind of, I guess, the family that you guys have built over the last few years?
I mean, I really do try to learn everybody's names. Sometimes it is difficult, but we do try to, I mean, because the better that everybody else is, it really does make us better. So we try to, everybody has our cell phone numbers. We're available 24/7, you know.
Yeah.
Call us, text us, FaceTime us if you're at the track, you know. It just, the better everybody else is, the better we are.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I guess moving forward here, talking about a little bit of the stuff that's new for you guys this year. The first time I saw an MGM personally was out in Colorado, and I was just at a rental track out there. That was the first time I saw an MGM. No idea what I was looking at. A different go-kart than what I was used to seeing. Obviously, me being new to the whole thing was an OTK or a CRG or a Comkart, which is what I had at the time. And then I move out to Texas, and guys that are local to there start getting the MGMs. And this year, I think I show up to my local track, obviously Speed Sports, and there's a lot of blue and chrome go-karts kind of everywhere that you go now, right? Your guys' go-karts are starting to pop up everywhere. And I know you guys just started that dealership program as well this year. Talk about that and the start of that and the spread of y'all's chassis as well throughout the year. I think it's started off really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, a huge thank you to Bryce Frank Racing,
Yes.
Chuck and Bryce, and Jorge. Obviously, Jorge started the relationship
Yep.
out west in Texas for us. He's the one that went out there and started pushing it all for us. But yeah, we couldn't do the West Coast stuff without Bryce Frank Racing for sure. We got the Zinger out there rolling as well. Carter Kilgo won him a championship last year, right?
Yep.
Finished out the year, got him a championship on his MGM. So, I mean, and I know they just opened a new track in Las Vegas. So we also have, I think, a couple go-karts out there as well. So, and you said Colorado.
Bermuda. We have
Bermuda.
We have a bunch of carts on the island, but
Nice.
And then South Georgia Karting, Lindsell Speed Shop, Bradford. We couldn't, yeah.
Jamie Bradford. But no, we haven't had dealers in the past, and we've tried not to. It's a big leap of faith trying to get big, because you can only get as big as you can grow, right? So her and I have as much room to grow as nobody really. So since our dealers are in place, it's been amazing. Actually, it's been a lot better than I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
We've sold 50 go-karts this year, and we wouldn't have sold 50 go-karts without our dealers, right? So
only March.
and the 50 is 25 more than we've sold. In past years. We average about 70 to 80 go-karts a year. With her and I building them. I weld them, she puts them together. So last year we built 100 go-karts, which was amazing to us.
That's a lot for two people.
And I think we'll be over 140 this year.
Which is awesome.
So
already at 50.
Keeps me working, so it keeps me out of trouble too.
and I guess going back to the dealership question, right? Why do you think it was a leap of faith to take on those dealers?
It's hard. It's hard when you don't. I mean, you guys are in college, and you'll understand this. When you don't have any money, you worry about where you're getting your money, right? So without money,
we are a small company.
It's hard to make money. So when you have to rely on giving go-karts to other people and hopefully selling more to make up the profit for what the dealers get, because the dealers need to get a good cut too, because they're your internet, they're your chain supply, they're selling everything for you. So it's
parts in stock at the track
and
to help everybody,
and make sure that we are ready, that we had enough parts and stuff in place to sell to these people, because when the supply and demand gets big for them, we have to supply to them too. So there was a couple of things we had to do before we did it, really.
Right. We had to get big enough internally before we could spread to make sure we could accommodate all of their needs as well.
What's the next couple of years look like for you guys then? Is the goal to just keep expanding and keep adding people to help build the go-karts?
Yeah.
We're going to keep digging. We're going to keep being a pain in everybody's ass for sure. We're the little team that's not going to go away, man. We've got we've got as much stay power as any millionaire race team out there. So
Yeah.
until God takes us,
Mhm.
we're going to bother everybody. And I think we've got a good shot this weekend. We've got some amazing talent showing up this weekend,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Yeah,
I'm not
49
saying
chances
we'll
at
win
it.
them all, but we're going to have a chance to lose them all. So that's all you can really ask.
Hey, there you go. Well, I want to talk about CKNA Grands 2 years ago, not last year in 2024, but 2023. I think the only win you guys got was in Kid Kart. Talk about the rebuild for 2024 and what kind of went into that to getting back up to the top step for you guys.
Well, hopefully we get a Kid Kart win this weekend as well. Liam Vaughn and his new decal. So
That's a,
we're hoping for some more Kid Kart wins. But but yeah, I mean, we came home and went back to the drawing board and really put our heads down and went to work.
it was a gut check. It sucked. I'm not going to lie.
It was.
Sucked.
I mean, we were up front.
I mean, we ran
Obviously,
good.
yeah.
We all ran good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the finishes versus the just weren't there for us. We just
Right.
it's a big race. Things happen, but overall, yes, that ride home.
It was a quiet ride home.
We didn't talk for 8 hours.
Wow.
In the same sense, I mean, not my whole life. I've been on this life circle, so I've won races, and then we've had to go back to work. With Tommy Triplett, when we built go karts, we had some pretty bad years, and then we had to rebuild, and thankfully things went back up. But we rebuilt, and
We came home. We
I mean, if anybody watched the Kart Chaser Grands last year, I mean, it was
Oh,
all
yeah.
up. I mean, it
yeah.
was all ours to lose, and we had a hell of a. We won one.
had a lot of heat race
Won
wins.
4 heat races. I think we had 17 top 5s in the heat races.
Crazy.
It was
Some poles.
a great weekend. It was very, very scary debuting a brand new go-kart in the Grands. It was something that we had tested for a year, but
Right.
it's just still some unknowns. It was super scary. We took 20 of them there, and there wasn't one that finished outside the top 10.
Wow.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, crazy. It's just it's crazy to think that you can put that much time and work into something, and it shows that it's worth it. I mean, you can do it. Anybody can.
Absolutely.
I didn't know you guys brought new go-karts last year.
It was
Yeah.
tough, dude. It was a lot of convincing, because this is not the time. If we go here, we don't do it, it's gonna be terrible. So we,
I remember why an 8-hour ride home. I didn't want another one.
I mean, it was hard to convince them, but I mean, thankfully Owen did a lot of testing for us. Caleb did a lot of testing for us, and then everybody else started testing for us, and we were pretty confident about it. Very lucky.
We had some quiet testing behind the scenes as well.
Very lucky.
There you go.
Yeah.
We built an OTK go-kart, tested it. Sucked. So
we did try it.
we
but
went a
it
different
was,
route.
I think it got cut up.
I'm not very good at Italian, so
We're still working on his geography.
Geography. Oh man. How much do you think having, I guess, the club scene that you guys have at Trackhouse helps when it comes to, I guess, not just understanding, I guess, where you guys are at, but also sort of kind of having not the R&D and also the competitiveness across the year? Because I mean, you guys in the market, you guys are facing Coyote a lot. You guys have a lot of other teams within the area that put on, I'd say, arguably the biggest 206 club scene in America and possibly in the world.
Well, I mean, they come to our house. Let's get that right. Well, I mean, I guess Brandon does live here now, but
Marinello is local. Chris Murray
thankfully,
locally, but
GoPro,
we're the only one built.
we
here in
started
North
since
Carolina.
GoPro is open, and I was looking at my notes here. We've won 15 championships at GoPro MGM
Bang.
go-karts between the juniors and the seniors in the heavy class, right? So we have won one every year.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Mhm.
thank you God, we have won one every year. But
Fingers crossed.
you've got to defend your home track, right? This is where we live. This is what we do, and they come here in truckloads here to try to beat us.
Right.
And here lately,
This is the testing grounds, I guess. If you could come here and beat us at our home ground. It's
here
like the
lately,
testing.
they're using us as measuring sticks.
Right. I mean, it's like our club race is more or less a national every
Mhm.
month. I mean,
Yeah.
we
So
have
it's a
40
great place to
go-karts.
race at. I mean, it's
there's 40 seniors, 30 heavies, 30 juniors.
There's no place
30
where you can go
cadets.
race against over back in McKeithen at a local race every week.
And Caleb, no.
It's phenomenal talent there.
Yeah, Emery can talk about that.
Yeah.
It is seriously a national every race.
Yeah, I will say I put a grand total of 1:2:06 race on the board last year,
You did.
and you know, I have to say for having no teammates, no prep, no MGM working with me, I felt like I did pretty solid with it. But it does show you can't walk into those scenes and expect to be up at the front. I think it speaks to what you guys have been able to do, and also, I mean, I guess how satisfying is it to be seeing your own internal growth, seeing what you guys have done in the last 10 years, and also, I mean, at least from my outside view, kind of having a big part in growing the 206 scene, both at GoPro and then also what you guys are doing down in Kershaw as well over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we do have a series coming up at Kershaw this summer as well, which is pretty exciting. I mean, we do try to do as much as we can to help grow it. I mean, because the more we grow it, obviously, the more it helps.
The biggest reason we're doing the Kershaw thing is because April wouldn't let me have parties at the house anymore. So I had to have a go-kart race to get my friends together.
Well, the Kershaw and we call it GoPro Trackhouse, whichever. They don't have a master's class either for the 206, and there would be a big field for it, but they're hesitant on it, or I'm not sure.
They have a lot of go-karts, yeah.
Yeah, so we figured why not just go ahead and we'll do our own. That way we can accommodate all of our drivers, because not everybody gets to race at Trackhouse. So
Is Paul gonna drive?
Actually, the last time Paul drove, he broke his rib.
And it was at Kershaw, and
At this race.
it was a year of him complaining he was in pain. So unless he was a rib protector and he refuses to wear his rib protector.
Tell him, Alexander, the old man can still wheel a go-kart.
He actually.
Come on.
So
now.
the last time that I saw Paul on the racetrack was at Kershaw, and it was him and I going after it, and he surprised me. I'm not gonna lie, because he was
that was with you and Mo. I remember that.
Because he was talking a lot. He was talking a lot of crap, and I'm like, oh, he can't drive, and then he actually could drive.
I think I had to yell at all three of you when you came off, though, because you guys were all trying to wreck each other.
Yeah,
and practice. Can we not tear anything up right now, kids?
I think we need to fly Alex back in for a Trackhouse club race someday.
Dude, I want to go to Kershaw now.
we get
we'll put all three of you can race each other.
Yeah. Well, here's your dates, Caleb. May 10th, July 20th.
That's my birthday weekend.
Oh,
I'm there.
Birthday with us. We'll throw a party.
There.
Labor Day weekend and then Thanksgiving. So there's 4 races, but
Kart Chaser will be at the Thanksgiving race, just so you all know.
Oh, you guys are coming. You just don't know it yet.
Hey, news to me.
This is breaking news.
There you go. Breaking news. We're going to the turkey race.
But I've heard though that Alex, you and Caleb have applied for internships here locally, so you guys might be moving to Charlotte, right?
Potentially.
You all can
Waiting to hear back.
free labor in the MGM world.
Are you guys offering housing?
Absolutely, of course, and food.
Alex,
there you go.
room back.
Everything that Alex. So
This is great.
I got my room back. Oh
Well,
my God.
Moving forward, big weekend for you guys. You guys talked about a little bit about what you guys kind of have going on this weekend. Tell us who's driving for you guys, drivers we should look out for. I think we know some of the names, but for those people watching on at home, for you guys, I guess, what are we expecting to see out of you guys to start off the 2025 CKNA National season?
A lot of drivers.
a lot of drivers. You want this list?
Couple wins. We told you there's 70 entries, 49 go-karts.
Yeah.
You want that list?
Hey, you guys have y'all's podcast, I know, weekly, where you guys talk about y'all's drivers. So you guys are more than welcome to do that here. And
how about this? Which of our drivers do you think will have potential good races this weekend? Starting off with maybe juniors or heavies or mediums or lights.
So I'm obviously more familiar with some of the senior drivers. Owen was really quick last year at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. we're looking out for him this weekend, and we hear Mo is back with you guys as well this year. So that's one of the ones that I'm looking out for as well this weekend. And I don't know, some of the boys know some of the other drivers, but I think the story. I know Mo was with VLR last year. Am I correct here?
Dylan.
Dylan.
was.
Okay. Sorry. So my mistake there.
It's
We have
Mo Edmondson and
Okay.
Dylan Edmondson. So sometimes it's
They are twins.
That's okay. That's where I struggle. Struggle.
But they
And that's
both,
why I didn't say the last name.
but both of them, Mo has a good potential. I mean, in practice last year, he was like 9/10 of a second faster than
In the
the
rain,
field.
yeah. But he ran
Yeah.
second for Sean last year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and then Dylan in the light class will be he's fast. We got
Yeah, there you go. So that's obviously one of the things that I think
Is Mo
caught
running
my
heavy this
attention as
year?
well.
he's running medium and heavy, and then
Gotcha.
Dylan is running light and medium.
and then Owen is running all
All
of them.
three.
Always.
Dylan
There you
Brady
go.
Atwood runs all three. We have those two run all three classes.
That's rough. I ran all three one time for you guys, and I think we broke the cart stand.
Right.
Yeah, your
Too
cart
much.
was. I used to push Alex's cart back and forth with the grid for a while until we started running like heavy, and I was like, I can't lift it anymore. We used to have to beg people to help us lift it on and off because it was.
Goodness gracious.
They would turn their heads and like, I don't see you guys. It was hard. It was
But
hard.
we have a couple good master drivers. We got Jamie Bradford. We actually have Zach Linzel running masters.
Yeah.
How old does that make you feel, Alexander?
Masters?
Masters, dude.
Oh, dude.
Right.
Are
That's
you
what I said.
serious?
I can run legends. What do you mean?
I'm actually mad that Zach is running Masters because he's good enough to run senior.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reasons to run Masters.
Oh,
man.
actually, that was me. I forced him into it
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
because we already have enough seniors.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. That's true. You got to put your eggs in as many baskets as
Yeah,
possible.
Zach will run really good for us in master. But
Wait, so
the
how old is Zach now?
35. The master's class is the most stacked class I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
It's got some great competition, but I mean, we have hitters everywhere, dude. And the good thing about our good people is our other people are right behind them, and they're padding the fence for us. You know, the more you can have up there, the better results you're going to get. So hopefully we get some good results. I know, like you said, all those kids get around that racetrack real good. Have had good success. Caleb Gaffar has had really good success at Charlotte, and he's
Home race for him too.
good. Say that again.
It's a home race for him too.
It's a home race for him too. Yeah. And there's drivers up and down the board for us. I mean, to have 70 entries out of 400 and some is amazing. To
I
have
think I saw
that many
438.
to have that many entries out of this tiny little shop, man. How do you think that makes the rest of them feel? I mean, some of them have buildings that are 18 times the size of this with 42 employees, and they're getting beat by little old me and little old her. Makes us feel pretty good.
Oh
But
yeah.
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. Can't
So
wait.
we're kind of talking and I was just about to ask, right? Like how rewarding is that feeling for you guys? It's the two of you guys kind of doing it against some of the other bigger operations. From a family, how does that feel? If you guys can put that into words.
I mean, it feels great to know that it's just the two of us. Well, I mean, we do have every once in a while, though, like a couple of the local kids will come over and they'll cut some metal up and stuff like that to help us with some small stuff when we get behind. But I mean, it is very rewarding to know that every go-kart out there that literally we have physically touched with our own hands. Like Paul has welded it, I have assembled it, put the decals on. Like it is rewarding.
I
to
mean,
know
it's definitely
it is all our
it's
work.
really rewarding for us. But the good days are really good, but the hard days are really hard. It's when you get your behind kicked, it's you've got two choices in life: either get down or get up, and it makes the hard days hard sometimes. But the family that we've surrounded ourselves with, the people that drive our go-karts, it makes it all worth it by all means.
Mhm.
I love to hear that because obviously with it being a team that I was a part of for so long and what you guys were such a developmental part in my career, I'd say.
I see all those trophies behind of you, Alex.
I like it.
I'm pretty sure.
We're all
I'm pretty
wondering.
sure most of them were from you guys. So I'm pretty sure if I turn my camera, I think it's like too dark. But most of them are because of these two guys over here. So I always, when people always ask me about, you know, what do you kind of attribute your success to, I always point back to you two because
You.
I think
You.
the family aspect is just something that you can't trade. And I think knowing, like you guys mentioned, that pretty much every cart that you guys have built has gone through your hands.
Yeah.
That's got to be it. Also, I think part of it though is you guys actually have a trust in yourself that you know how to build go-karts, and so you know that every cart that you go out and throw out there for somebody to go out there and drive is going to be good, right? Because you guys built it with your bare hands. You don't have to worry about anybody else doing it.
It has to be good, or they're going to send it back, right?
Right.
And then you got to do it again.
And that's the one thing I've tried to take pride in with us is we don't get many sendbacks, you know, or, you know, I don't get a phone call, hey, the go-kart's, oh, it's twisted, it's all messed up. We get our normal calls, you know, but we don't get any manufacturing, oh, the go-kart's just twisted, it's messed up, it fell in the truck when it was in freight. Thankfully, knock on wood, thankfully, most of the stuff that comes out of here is 100%.
Yeah.
All of the stuff, most.
Well, that's great, boys. Anything else as well? Oh, actually, before we move into the closing stages here, Alex, I was going to ask you your favorite story about Paul and April. The floor is all yours, Al.
Okay. Oh, that's on the spot. My favorite story. Oh, I have a couple.
We spent a lot of time with Alex. This is scary. I used to have to go to, because he was still underage. I used to have to go to the airport, sign in at the airport with my ID, go through TSA, and go to the gate and like.
He wasn't even old enough to fly.
Yeah. Have you guys?
Probably the coolest story that we have together, and I'm sure that you might agree, is like, dude, I think we were starting 12th, and we all talked, and we're like, look, we're gonna run up through this field, dude. We're gonna win this race. And damn, if we didn't win that race, dude, from mid pack, you came up and led the last 2 laps, dude, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Talk
cool.
about the grands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the only 2 laps I led all weekend.
Yeah.
The last 2 laps.
We were up there all weekend, but those were the only 2 you had, you know?
Yeah. Well, I kept. We were probably the fast go-kart all weekend. I just kept making mistakes. I mean, because the year we won the grands, I was not even a year into racing. It was less than a year, so I was making so many mistakes. I think I threw it off the track so many times in the heat races.
We almost won Indy too.
We should have won Indy.
We led every lap at Indy except the last.
We led every lap at the last one at Brickyard. We actually we put it on pole at Brickyard. We put it on pole at Brickyard in senior. Mo and I were 1-2, and they DQ'd us because we were pushing.
Yeah.
Which what you're supposed to do.
We were too fast.
Yeah, but whatever. I think I have a couple. I think that's actually funny that you mentioned it because I forgot that I was like what do they call it when you're too young to fly?
Yeah. A minor.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Gianluca Savaggio. Yeah, we had some good times at Formula One Tour. I actually think my first ever race when I flipped is something that I look back on.
Yes, in the white go-kart. It's in the front garage.
You and Mo ended up upside at Jacksonville, flipped, and ended up stuck upside down in the fence.
Yeah.
Like they were stuck in their go-karts. We had to like move the go-kart.
I think that fence is still torn down to this day.
Oh, it still looks
up.
like that.
We laugh every time we go about
it. It's just never been fixed. So like that fence is gone in the middle of the racetrack. But it was funny because I remember my mom beat everybody to the scene. And for those of you like who don't know, parents should not be on the racetrack.
Well,
but I think
I got yelled at. I tried to go out, and they told me if I went out, I was gonna get kicked out of the track for the weekend.
But I always love telling the story because my mom, the parental instincts kicked in. It did not matter in that moment. I don't know how she beat the EMTs and the corner worker to me, but she did. and I think she ran through the fence. Like I don't think there was a hole in that fence.
Like, there
and
were
then
still carts on the track racing it. She's like,
yeah, she
I
beat
think-
everybody.
I think that other hole in the fence is where your mom went through is still there as well.
Yeah. I don't know how, but
Alex's mom went full Kool-Aid, man.
That's
she
crazy.
beeline to me.
oh, yeah.
The first voice that I heard was my mom, and then it was Paul, and then it was the EMT, and then I think it was Paul and one of the Yarborough brothers that picked the go-kart up. We fixed it up. We actually podiumed that weekend.
How we finished
Oh yeah,
second.
we still
Yeah,
ran.
yeah, we ran good. But I just thought that was funny. My first race, I lasted 3 corners, and I was on my lid.
Little did you
You
know.
learned fast. You
Yeah,
learned
little
fast.
did you know.
We just got it out of the way.
No, we had some good weekends. I remember my first senior race at Trackhouse. I was leading. It was me and Race Liberante,
We
and
should've-
I threw it off the racetrack by myself.
yeah, you were
and-
behind the barriers. And then
Yeah. And Paul asked me, he's like, "What happened?" I go, "I just ran out of talent. I don't know."
playing the field,
You're gone.
but you had to go around the barriers, and that slowed us.
Yeah, it was the last corner, and I don't know, I just zoned out, and I hit the curb, and I was before I knew it, I was literally behind the outside barrier. I don't know how I ended up out there, but
It's crazy.
safe to say we didn't win the race, so we should have. We walked it.
No, not that. Yeah,
But no, we had great times. We had great
Yeah,
times.
for sure.
yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
guys, I definitely appreciate you having us on here tonight.
Hold on, let me do my list real quick.
Go ahead. That was the last thing I was gonna ask.
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
You guys
here's
got
my
it.
closing statement, okay?
Floor's all yours.
We got Sean Chiarillo, Jack Hughes, Brady Atwood, Matt Lyda, Colin Aiken, Bryce Frank, Elmer Edmondson, Cam Burris, Austin Johnson, Owen Lloyd, Dylan Amundsen, Eli Fox, Kelvin Zing, Caleb G, Michael Robbins, Ricky Rosinski, Sydney Miller, Mark Raymond, JJ O'Neill, Kellen Weiss, Anthony Lewis, Ryan Sukina, Austin Speck, David Baker, Dylan Callahan, Cody Svoboda. One of them was going to get me eventually. Fody, Jack Sakina, Ryan Bennett, Junior Davis, Brad Davis. Brad Davis will be one to watch in Masters, actually. He's been dominating down in Florida. Bryce Downs, Noah Rivers, Will Lessig, Tyler Dolak, Jamie Bradford, Tim Mike Skinner, Amber Flint. I didn't see Corey, though. Zach Linzell, Kyle Robinson, Jason Galini, Stevie Bushell, Jeff Chalmers. Oh, there, Corey Flint. I'm sorry, you are on my list. Mike Todd, Ron Tipton, Brandon Hollenbaugh, Tim Clark, and Liam Vaughn.
That's
There
pretty
you go.
cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
So there's
That sounds
49 of them.
That sounds like an entry list.
A lot of familiar names. A lot of familiar names.
Yeah.
I must say that. I think we're gonna expect to see up at the front on y'all's MGM Espionage chassis. So it'll be exciting. Last thing, what do you guys? Floor is all yours. What's coming up? Where can people find you on social media? Where can they order your chassis? Whatever you guys would like to say.
Obviously, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can go to our website, mgmchassis.com. It will give you all the information about ordering a chassis, but it will give you our phone number so you can call us direct. It's got our cell phone numbers right on there, so you can reach out, all our parts and components. We're excited to go for our Kershaw series here for the 4 races there, and Spring Nats coming up.
Again, thank you to all of our MGM family and friends and everybody that's with us. I know people say this all the time, but obviously we couldn't do it without you two.
We couldn't.
And a shout out to a very good friend of ours, Jeremy Hood.
Yes.
Brother, we love you.
Yes, there is a GoFundMe link on our page for Hoodie. He was going to come and race. Unfortunately, he had some medical emergencies and was
We're pulling
diagnosed.
for you, homies. So we're going to all be racing for you this weekend.
Absolutely.
We're going to be winning for you. But thank you guys. And thank you, Kart Chaser. And thank you.
We'll be excited to see you guys in person this weekend.
Can't wait to get it on and get it on.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
We're excited to see you guys at the racetrack. I was excited to see you guys out in Texas. But we're ready. We're going to look out for you guys as well. And best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You guys have
Thank
a good
you.
night.
See ya.
Well, there you guys have it from Paul and April Rice. Honestly, a great great conversation that we just had with them. And I'm sure you guys will see a lot on social media as well. But moving on, CKNA Spring Nats coming up next. We're going to talk about what we're expecting to see, who we're excited to see out on the racetrack, and what to expect from 2025 for CKNA. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today. DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the 2-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
Join us for the biggest kart racing convention of the year, the 39th OVKA Kart Racing Trade Show and Swap Meet, Saturday, February 1st, Robert Center, Wilmington, Ohio. Whether you're into sprint karting, dirt and oval racing, road racing, unlimiteds, or vintage karting, there are deals here for you. Shop our 60,000 square foot show floor, filled with the karts, parts, and supplies you need. Network with kart racers of all disciplines from across the country. Get insights from experts at our performance seminars. Visit our Intro to Kart Racing open house to get started in racing. Visit OVKA.com. Vendor registration is now open. OVKA.com.
Alrighty, welcome back to KC Grid Talk, episode number 44. We just had a great conversation with Paul and April Rice, and honestly, very, very lucky to have them on the show this week. But talked a little bit about what we're going to see this weekend. The CKNA Spring Nationals is live this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, all day. We're excited to be back at CKNA. Boys, I know we're excited. I do have a little bit of a preview provided by Race Select and Keith Warren. So, for the Spring Nats, 31 different states/territories, 57 entries from Florida, just clips Ontario, Canada, with 53 entries. 387 unique drivers with 438 entries, and 45% of the drivers did not attend the Spring Nats last year. Several classes capped early, leaving dozens of people on the outside looking in, and that shows you the growth of CKNA. That shows you the growth of the 206 package, and how how what it's like, I guess, on an entry list, looking to get into some Cup Karts North America national racing. That's all a testament to Greg Jasperson and the entire CKNA crew for the work they've done, and the organization really from top to bottom. But that's what I have from Keith Warren. Thank you very much as well. Eli going to be racing this weekend, so we're excited to see him hit the racetrack as well with Steel Motorsports. But boys, what do we have? What are we kind of looking forward to? I know Emery isn't going to be there, but myself and Alex are. Emery, we'll start with you. You were at the Spring Nats last year. What are you expecting to see this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this one time. I know last year I was very hard on Charlotte as a racetrack. It is a great track for 206 racing. You see a lot of good racecraft. To me, it's kind of the blend between Newcastle and kind of the Grand Nationals and a track like Pittsburgh, where there is a technical element to it, but there's also a lot of flat out racing. There's really only one semi-braking zone on the entire track. And as such, you're going to see a lot of strategy, a lot of kind of technical battles. I expect the manufacturer battle. I mean, we talked a lot about MGMs, obviously, in the last segment with Paul and April. I expect they have a large contingent. You obviously are going to have the Coyotes, the PPK boys. You've got kind of the VLR guys as well. I mean, there's a lot of very interesting storylines to talk on the team dynamics. And I mean, honestly, I mean, this is kind of, it's rare to talk about this in karting, but I think that we're going to see how important it is to kind of be around your teammates, to be around people that you can work with, because to me, last year proved you can't win these races all by yourself, or at a minimum, it's very hard to do so. Charlotte, again, a good track. I think it's going to test the drivers a lot, especially if we get some rain on Saturday. But I think it's going to be a fun weekend. A lot of entries. I mean, CKNA, we've talked about it a number of times on the show. They're knocking out of the park when it comes to how they've been able to expand, how they've been able to kind of keep these entries up. And, it's an exciting race. Wish I was there, but certainly we'll be tuned in all weekend.
Alex?
I think the coolest thing was the stat you talked about, Caleb, how 45% of the entries of this year's event are new from last year. Is that correct?
Let me check here. I think 45% of drivers did not attend last year's Spring Nats.
That is so cool. So congratulations to Greg Jackson, CKNA, because last year's event was huge. So that just goes to show you when you can have basically a half the field is new to at least the Spring Nats. That's pretty cool. And then as a whole, I remember we had this talk last year, and Caleb, I think you and I were in the same boat, and then Emery was the one saying how Charlotte doesn't race very well, and then he had to eat his words a little bit. So,
hold on. While we're talking about it, I had no idea about Charlotte. Looking at the track map, looked kind of boring. And I was like, you know what? Like speedway racing, whatever. Like I didn't think it was gonna race good at all. We get there, and we have some of the best races I think on the Sunday that we've ever seen. And I saw 206s go as fast. I think, faster than I've ever seen, and see the technicality of going through that and what it took to win a race there last year, all the way to the last two corners. You could be leading and then end up in fifth. To me, that track is going to provide some great racing all weekend long. And I was wrong about it. I talked about Stars, going there later on in the year, but we were all wrong about it. I have to say I was definitely wrong about Charlotte Motor Speedway. A great place, a great track. And I'm super, super excited for it. But that was it. Alex, proceed.
well, I don't remember the episode all the way because I thought you and I were in the same boat. I know I was Team Charlotte Motor Speedway. That track, at least for 206 racing and just for lower horsepower, it is phenomenal. But I think it races well.
Yeah.
I've never seen, at least in my years of karting, I haven't seen X30s and shifters rip around there. It hasn't been since what, Emery, 2017.
Stars,
We had a
homie.
shifter
Stars,
race last
homie.
year.
Oh well, before stars.
We had KA level racing in like 2020, 2021. I will say, like, I'm going to save my opinions on two-stroke racing in Charlotte until we get to Stars episode. But for 206 racing last year, 100% wrong. It was phenomenal. I think this track is tailor-made for good 206 racing. And
Yeah, but in general, we saw from the Stars event how good it races in all classes. But back to CKNA, I think strategically it is one of actually the tougher tracks to win on in a 206.
I agree.
I think Emery kind of said it perfectly. It's a great blend between what we see at Grands with Newcastle, and then you put a track like Pittsburgh on there, because it's you're flat out most of the time. I've driven the event in the 206. You are flat out 90% of the time. The other 10%, it's a lift. Maybe there's basically one brake zone, but I think it's a tough track to actually be quick on because you're constantly chasing a freer go-kart. You want to be rolling the speed. If you ever have a situation where your kart's bogging down, your race is over, right? And so that's usually what you see when teams are doing well. You look at the attitude of the go-kart, they're rolling, right? They are not stuck to the racetrack at all. It's free. And there's a lot of passing opportunities. I think it's something that's super underrated. Oftentimes, I've heard people mention with Charlotte that it's tough to pass on. I actually think it's the exact opposite, especially in a 206. You get 2 or 3 drivers to work together, and it's pretty actually simple to make a move happen there. And it's very tough to pull away. It is, no matter how good you are, no matter how fast you are, you could qualify and pull by 2/10. You are not going to pull away at Charlotte Motor Speedway, especially when you can get a couple of drivers together. So I think that's why last year, like Caleb mentioned, I wasn't there, but I got to watch. It was some of the best racing we had all year out of all the series, all the classes, just because this track is poised for, photo finishes, right? Or at least grandstand level finishes, last lap, last corner passes. It's what this track breeds. It's what the series breeds. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. We'll be under the lights on Saturday, so that's cool.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait.
All right. little bit of, I guess, going into the weekend. Talk about senior light. And, I can't not talk about my boys from Texas, Josie Chambers, Kelvin Zing, Reagan Seville. I got to talk about those guys. But also Isaac Malquit moving up to senior light. We want to talk about predictions. Give me little Ike, little sizzle to get it done in senior light.
How much lead is going to be on that go-kart?
Not that much, because I think the junior weight is close to the senior lightweight, if I'm not mistaken. So it is still going to be a lot.
It's still going to be a lot.
But like hearing from the start of the year, Colin Warren saying that it was going to be a long year in light because Lil Sizzle was taking the fight to some of those senior guys. So we'll see. The Steel Motorsports team looking good. I hear they're debuting a new chassis as well this weekend. So shout out to Mark Steele, who we've had on the show as well in previous times. And I'm excited to see what Lil Sizzle could do against some of the best 206 racers in the nation. You obviously can't not talk about Colin Warren whenever we get to it. You're reigning senior medium Grand National champion. He's one of my picks in senior medium. And then Owen Lloyd as well, another one of my big ones who was really, really good all year. I think at this event, the Spring Nationals, I can't remember exactly who won. It was Ronnie Cleese or who it was in senior heavy who won. I'm going to have to look back and correct myself when we get into streaming Saturday and Sunday. But it looks like Alex had some issues. But Emery, I'm honestly pumped up. We're back at the CKNA Spring Nationals this weekend. Who are you kind of looking out for coming into this weekend as well? I guess drivers-wise, hearing a little bit from what I said.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you did a great job highlighting your Texas guys.
Hey.
I think I'm excited to see what guys like Kelvin and Reagan can do this weekend. I think they'll have a strong showing. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of guys like Gafera kind of mix it up on the medium side of things, and certainly kind of the competitiveness that he'll show. I think we're going to see a lot of guys under the Coyote tent have a strong weekend. They've kind of, if you look at the last calendar year, Owen Lloyd has kind of been the one. Owen Lloyd and Colin Warren have been the two guys that kind of consistently challenge them race after race after race. I think that happens again. I think that's kind of the main storyline for me is, can someone break up the sort of teamwork that they've shown at these races? Because until proven otherwise, I feel like it's difficult to really root against, to like kind of pick against those guys to be at the front of the field, to be kind of controlling the race. Not saying it can't happen. I mean, we literally saw it with Colin Warren at CKNA Grands. We've seen it with Owen Lloyd, but they're the ones I feel like have kind of controlled the battles in recent months and recent races. I think that continues. And then, yeah, I mean, you're looking down. I know like Ian Quinn will be there. He'll be a guy to watch. There'll be a couple other guys as well that I think are going to be really good. But ultimately, I think that for me, at least, the team battles are going to be what I'm looking into, because that's the fascinating part of 206 racing. That's the side that I find to be really enthralling over the course of the last few years, is kind of seeing MGM kind of developing their own, the pride that they take in kind of being able to win these races as a team. PPK last year and kind of what they were able to do with the teamwork, having McKeith and having Overbeck, having guys like Paulie near the tent, like that in itself has value to it. And I think that it'll be interesting to see who kind of comes out on top of the team battles.
Yeah, team battles. I think the interesting part to me, Emery, is you see a lot of selfless driving as well here, where they think about kind of the bigger picture as well. And I always think that's one of the coolest parts about events like this. So we're excited for it. Emery, anything else to get into? Anything I'm missing before I guess we close off the show? I think Alex's computer died. So
yeah,
it'll
be a fun weekend. I mean, it was certainly Alex put in a lot of good effort to this show. A lot they brought to the table. He's basically MGM's prodigal son from back in the day. So, no, this was a really good episode. If you're going to Concord/Charlotte for round 1 of CKNA, go to Nona's. Great Italian restaurant, about 5 minutes from the Speedway.
Is that where you took us?
Yeah.
Yeah, good place. Good food.
It's a great place to go to. Topgolf and University, a good place to go chill after the race. They have a lot of other local restaurants. If you want, you can DM me on that. I will certainly answer to any Concord related questions. But yeah, it's exciting. Looking forward to this weekend. I think it'll be a fun one. I hate that I'm missing it I got a ticket to UNC Duke though, so that's got me kind of hype. And
Bang.
yeah, no, should be a fun weekend of racing, a fun weekend for me, and looking forward to seeing how everything plays out.
Hey, we're excited to be back with the CKNA family. Always a great environment. You guys always treat us very, very well. We're excited to be back with you guys. We're excited to stream all the action live Saturday and Sunday. If you're not already a KC Premium member, become a KC Premium member for $9.99 a month to watch all the CKNA racing action live this weekend. And for the month of, I should say, are we in March? We're in March. Goodness gracious.
It's March.
For the month of March, UC Emory's in full spirit, getting ready for the Tar Heels this weekend.
It's the wrong color, actually.
Yeah, you need a light blue. You need a light blue in there. But we're ready for this weekend as well. I cannot wait. Myself, Xander, and Alex will be on the mic this weekend and on the call. We're excited for it all. We're excited for all the action. We thank you guys very much for joining us on episode number 44. We heard from April and Paul. You heard from us recapping and previewing a little bit as well. We thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you back next week, all about what went on this weekend at the CKNA Spring Nationals. But we'll see you on Saturday, bright and early at 8 a.m. For the start of the weekend. Thank you guys for joining us.